Welcome to watercolor lesson number 2. By the end of this lesson and practice sessions, you will know information that is important to know in order to create dynamic pieces of watercolor. In this lesson, you will learn how to prevent bleeding. Don't worry, no real blood is involved. How to blend colors, how to block areas of the paper, and how to achieve different levels of saturation. In the last video, we learned what a wash is, covering the page with a thin layer of paint. We're going to get a bit more fancy now and learn about a graduated wash. This is where the paint starts out very vibrant on one end and fades. To do this, you'll start off with a bit of paint on your brush. You'll apply it to your paper. And then as you go lower, you're going to add more water and sort of pull the paint down with you so it blends slowly. Next, we'll create a variegated wash where we actually take two colors and slowly blend them together. You'll start off by using the graduated wash technique with one color at the top and then do the same thing with a different color at the bottom. Use the water to blend the two colors together where they meet in the middle. Our third technique is called blocking, and essentially you're blocking the paper from being covered with paint. For this example, I'm using a white crayon, which will prevent the paint from sticking. This is a really cool technique that can be used in a variety of ways. Saturation refers to the intensity of a color, how bright or faded the color is. A brighter color will have a lot more paint pigment on it, whereas a faded color will have a lot more water on the brush. Blending is a technique used to mix various colors and levels of saturation together on a painting. The best way to learn how to blend colors is to just play and practice with watercolor. It's really fun to watch the colors swirl and mix around together. And remember, the final product always looks a bit different than what the wet version looks like. When mixing colors together, it's always a good idea to stick to either a cool or warm color palette. Otherwise, you're just going to end up with a big brown blob. You can also pick up your paper and tip it around in different directions to help that color blend together through the use of gravity. The last technique is basically the same as blending, except it's an unwanted version of blending. This is known as bleeding, when two colors seep together in an unwanted way, making a bit of a mess. You can see that my green paint touching the wet border of the orange paint makes the two colors start to blend together. In order to prevent bleeding, you simply need to have a bit of patience. Paint your first section and then take the time to wait until it's completely dry. Once the paint is dry, you can easily add the other colors right beside it without any fear of bleeding happening. So if you want to add two colors side by side and you don't want them to bleed together, always make sure you take the time to let it dry.